Hello and welcome to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith in the studios of our flagship stations, 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV. In addition, today we're on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99 as well in Birmingham, Bingham Farms, Beverly Hills, and the village of Franklin on Birmingham Area Municipal Access. On the radio, besides 89.3 Lakes FM here in the greater West Bloomfield area, we're also on in Bloomfield Hills on 88.1 WBFH, the Biff. And online today, civiccentertv.com. Click on our Watch Live link and view us on our homepage, or by clicking that Watch Live link and going to our live player page, as well as on our Facebook pages, facebook.com/civiccentertv15 and facebook.com/lakesfm. And as always, joining me from her home studio is Ronnie Dahl.
Hello there, Tyler. Happy Monday.
Yes, happy Monday to you too, Ronnie.
I will say, I'm not ready.
No?
I'm not ready for Monday. Can we just rewind and get an extra Sunday?
Yeah, give me Sunday 2 over here, okay? Not all sequels are great, but I'd like to at least try in this situation.
Yeah, some days you're just like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
But we power through.
We do.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. It was pretty relaxed. Got a lot done in that time as well. So it was a nice, uneventful but productive weekend. How about yours?
It was good. It was quick. It was way too quick. I woke up and then have you had your days where you wake up late? So couldn't sleep last night. You finally fall asleep, and then we use Alexa as our alarm.
Okay.
And I must have told her to shut up.
Uh-oh.
Because then you oversleep. But it's trash day, and there's nothing that will make you jump out of bed quicker than when you hear the trash truck and you realize you haven't put the trash out, right? So you're like, trash! Jump up, run out. We missed the recycling, but we made the trash, so, I'm batting 50-50 already.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, as long as you make it with the trash getting it down in time, you don't have that awkward encounter where you're bringing it out and the garbage disposal people are just like, well, here you are late. Everyone else put it out on time. That's what you got. That's what you're really beating. You're not just trying to get it out there in time so they can take it away. You're trying to beat that awkward encounter too, just because they're judging you, and they should be, because you had all that time.
So I wonder if anyone out there has done this as well, when you're running late and you see them and they're just like 2 houses down. Like I have flagged them down. Stop, I'm here, run. And try to run my trash down to the truck before. So, but I'm sure other people have done that as well.
Yeah, that's happened to a lot of people. I know my dad, when I was living with him, we had that situation a lot, and even still now he does here and there, or if I'm in the area at the end of the day or heading over there after the show or something, and the garbage trucks are coming through and I bring it down. I've had that situation a few times. I think that's pretty common with people who are taking their trash out and trying to get it out there on time, but maybe decide the night before, I'm too tired, I'll do it in the morning. And then the morning comes around and it's Monday or it's Tuesday, whenever they have their whatever the trash day is, and they're just tired in the morning, so they don't do it. They're trying to get everything else done. A lot of factors go into that, but I think it's a pretty common thing.
So I will say, we don't put our trash out the night before because it ends up all over the neighborhood. Yeah. And on the trail and this, that, and the other. And, we're constantly, when we walk the dog, picking up people's trash, putting it back in. And it's like, come on, so we wait until the morning of. But it's really kind of hard to gauge. Some weeks they come at 6:30 in the morning. Yeah. Other weeks they don't come until 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So you're kind of playing that trash man or trash pickup shuffle there as to what time do you have to get it out versus what time does it need to get out. And it really is, for us, it's just because we don't want trash blowing all over the neighborhood, because we kind of shame our neighbors who do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it is the weather in the state of Michigan. Obviously, it can be very windy at night and blow things out of your trash can, and then it's all over the place. It gets into the woods, and it's out there for forever, and it can impact the environment and the animals that live in nature around you. And then on top of that, animals are always scouring through trash at night, the nocturnal animals like raccoons and such that may knock it over, and then you have that situation as well. So, it's a balance like everything else in life. We're trying to balance not having it out there too early where trash can end up all over the neighborhood, but not having it out there too late or getting it out there too late that you're nearly missing the trash pickup.
So I will say, Tyler, I'm sitting here looking at one thing. I miss you in the studio, but I will say it's nice working from home because I'm sitting here in gym shorts, by the way.
Oh, that's good.
So you're only seeing my shirt.
That's the dream. That's the dream.
I mean, that's what we're all doing, right? It doesn't matter. But the downside of working from home is in my office, I have like 2 huge bulletin boards on the sides, right? Like one's a chalkboard, one's a bulletin board. And it kind of lists all of my to-do list. So when I sit down here every day, I'm staring at this and it is just like, girl, get off your butt. You have a lot to do. It forces you to try to get stuff done. Do you do that? Are you a list maker?
I am a list maker. I'm someone that tries to keep a mental note and go that route first. But if I get off of the, if I get out of the motions a little bit and don't have the momentum going and just end up all over the place, that's when I go to the more formal list where, all right, write this down, go in it, whatever order you need to here that's most productive, and clear this list because you're not able to do it without the list. So you got to follow the list because that's the only way you're going to be able to visually shame yourself into getting this done, other than using good old-fashioned discipline, which usually works pretty well.
I like your phrasing there, visual shaming.
Yeah, you gotta shame yourself sometimes.
So like I have an app too on my phone that's like, hey, do this, this, and this. But sometimes I'll add stuff on my to-do list that I've already done, just so I can mark it off. So my app actually has this sound where it goes, it sounds like a pencil marking it off. So sometimes I add things on there, like doing laundry.
If I've already done stuff pre-list and I'm going to add on the list there, I've done more. I've done more now. Now I feel even more productive than, I missed these 3 things. These 3 things I just have not got done. I've been delaying and delaying and delaying, and you're getting all self-conscious. Instead, you've added, 4 other things you've already done to the list. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, I got, 3 out of 7 left to do, but I've already done 4 out of 7.
Right. I wonder how this has also been for people in the middle of the pandemic that are list makers. How are they managing it? And are they kind of doing the same thing? I will say one thing, like working from home, because like the dishwasher is running, the laundry is running. And so you can kind of like, double dip into things as well and try to get some of these home chores done that if you had to leave for the office, you wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, you can get a lot of these things done while you're working in between things, if you're taking some short breaks or if you're just getting things done while kind of multitasking at home as well. So I'm sure a lot of people are enjoying that, and maybe it keeps them occupied, or it gets them away from the monotony of going down their work list for the day and breaks things up a little bit, and maybe even keeps them a little more focused and productive.
The funny thing about that, though, Tyler, was your pause, because you're like, yeah, I don't know what that's like.
No, I don't.
Because I come in every day.
I don't know.
I don't know what are you talking about?
Hey, everyone's like, I was talking to my dad over the weekend, and he's like, all these people that, all these people that haven't been out driving, they're I feel a little bad for these people that are like, leasing cars or have mileage limits, and they're going to be way under it because they haven't been going back and forth. They're just, throwing away, money leasing a car. And I'm sitting there like, I wouldn't know. I've been driving every single day. Nothing's been different for me. I can't exactly be sympathetic to that because I don't know what it's like, but it's okay. Someone's got to do it, so I'll do it.
With that, exactly. But Tyler, we always appreciate Tyler. Just so people know, though, out there, Tyler doesn't just do one job. He does the job of like 20 people, because it's public access TV, and you're there long after we sign off, trying to do things behind the scenes as well. So we're sorry for you, but we appreciate you at the same time.
That is a sentiment I get in a lot of areas of my life. So thank you very much. We're sad for you, but you're doing all right.
Hey, with that though, we'll jump into the Monday headline. So we'll get off of our little Monday rant. Yes. Hey, Johnson & Johnson, just as we anticipated, says, yeah, they're going to resume. So the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services recommending that providers resume the use of Johnson & Johnson vaccine for residents 18 years and older. The department's announcement came after the FDA and the CDC recommended moving forward with the vaccine after an 11-day pause, which of course we all know was spurred by that rare blood clotting case, or several of them. There were 6, by the way. U.S. health officials ended the pause on Johnson & Johnson's single-dose shot Friday after scientific advisors decided its benefits outweigh the rare risk of blood clot. So the state health department said teams at FDA and CDC conducted extensive outreach to providers and to ensure that they were made aware of the potential for adverse events that could properly manage and recognize the events. About 2.7 million residents, Michigan residents, 34, which is 34% of the adult population, have now received their full COVID-19 vaccinations. The governor says the goal is for 70% of the adult population to be vaccinated. So I really do think, Tyler, the J&J was going to be kind of the link to reach the 70%. But now you have people that were going to get it who are a little bit uneasy about getting it. And we do know that the J&J, it's a different scientific method than the Pfizer as well as the Moderna.
Yeah, it's a different method. It's a different vaccine. The one dose of it really theoretically should help bolster the vaccine process and get us to that 70% even quicker, as we're right now about 34% fully vaccinated. It doesn't account for those that are partially vaccinated with 1 shot in the 2-shot situation. So theoretically, having Johnson & Johnson's vaccine back on the market and back getting into people's arms should help speed this along. But there are those hiccups now because it's been off the market for roughly 2 weeks, because those concerns have been made by the CDC and the FDA, even though they are in extremely rare situation, in rare cases that they're popping up, 6 cases, 7 cases, and about 7 million doses total that have already been distributed and shots that have already been in people's arms across the U.S. And then on top of that, the production issues that we've reported on in the past week or so as well. There are a lot of new concerns here with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that are going to be on people's minds. But getting this back on the market, having those warnings out there for healthcare providers and for civilians as well, to be able to be on the lookout in case they do end up being one of the very, very rare cases of people that have these complications after the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Having this back on, if that's what it takes to get this back on the market, then that's going to be something that can only help the vaccine process along. The biggest thing, like in any other situation with this vaccine process, is going to continue to be educating people on the effectiveness of these vaccines and the safety of these vaccines to get people to go get those shots in those arms so we can reach that 70% threshold.
I think the hard thing about this, Tyler, is because we know AstraZeneca, which has not been approved here in the U.S., but is being used overseas. One of the issues was the blood clotting issue, right? And it came up, but they've allowed for it to resume overseas. And now we're seeing the same thing and the J&J shot. And I will say I was signed up to get the J&J. We're all different. And we do like to remind people too, these are medical issues. If you don't want to talk about it, don't talk about it. I feel like so many people feel like they're pressured to say, I'm vaccinated, wear a sticker like I voted. You don't have to, because a lot of this you have to keep in mind is medical. So for me, just with what works with my lifestyle and my comfort zone, I wanted the J&J, and I was signed up the day that this announcement came out. So now you sit there and you look, okay, do you do it? Do you not do it? If you weren't comfortable with the other two, right, which uses a different scientific background, how do you go forward? And but the big thing too is with the J&J, when we're talking about one shot, it's so much easier for people.
Yeah.
College students, homeless population, just busy people, because I would imagine, I would expect there's got to be a study coming out soon about how many people aren't coming back for their second doses.
Yeah, that's got to be a problem. Just thinking about even if it's a minor issue, that's got to be something that's on the mind of the medical community and government as well as we continue through this vaccine process, especially with 2 of the 3 vaccines that are currently available in the United States being 2-dose vaccines. Is getting people back in for those second appointments. What happens if they miss those second appointments? How does that impact the process as well? And then having a single-dose vaccine back on the market, not only does that help accelerate the rate that people are getting vaccinated because it is single dose and because you don't have to have that second appointment to get that second shot. On top of that, you're also going to be able to reach populations that are tougher to get in for those appointments, those that maybe don't have access to the internet or are homebound. Over the weekend on Fox 2's Let It Rip, Dave Coulter was on there along with Macomb County Executive Mark Hackel speaking just on this issue, and Executive Coulter had said one of the greatest benefits of this Johnson & Johnson vaccine is being able to go to populations that can't leave their home or can't travel across the county to various vaccination sites to provide a single-dose vaccine to them in a timely manner to get them through the process. So having that back on the market going to be helpful. But again, one of the obstacles that is out there is that there are these hiccups that can be had with a 2-dose vaccine where people miss appointments or forget about it or don't sign up for a second appointment. And that's going to have to be addressed, especially if the lion's share of these vaccines continue to be the 2-dose Pfizer and Moderna.
And look, I don't mean to be the cynic, but I'm a person who has been a reporter for a long time, but also worked in the government. And I'm like, when it comes to the Pfizer and you have to store it at super cold temperatures, don't trust the process, because there are too many people involved in the process. And we know there's just human error in that. So for me, the Johnson & Johnson was just more comfortable. And everyone has different views on this as well. But I will say, going into our next topic for our headlines, the Michigan GOP is pushing, by the way, to ban vaccine passports as well as university mandates, which we've already seen come down the pipeline. So Republicans in Michigan they are joining conservative colleagues nationwide in a race to ban COVID-19 vaccine passports, citing concerns over privacy and liberty amid a mass inoculation efforts. So the new House legislation would prohibit the state or local governments from creating, issuing, or incentivizing the kind of vaccine passports that Israel and other countries have used to ease travel restrictions for inoculated residents and provide a special access to restricted sites like hotels, gyms, theaters, and music venues. A separate spending bill would also prohibit any of the state's 15 public universities from requiring students to prove vaccination for enrollment or in-person instruction next fall as an option for some Michigan schools, which they are considering right now. U of M just came out with this over the weekend. So the push comes as demand for COVID-19 vaccine appears to be waning here in the state, complicating efforts to achieve what we've heard this term, herd immunity, by inoculating 70% of adults, or about 5.7 million residents. So there is an effort on the backside to say, we can't require these. I do think it's going to be something going forward, but we had Brian Kelly on last week with the Small Business Association. They're also against this too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these businesses don't want to go forward with a vaccine passport method simply because they have their safety precautions in place and they don't feel that's entirely necessary. And that's their choice, as it is for other businesses like hotels or gyms or theaters, whatever it may be. If they decide that, yes, we are going to let people in if vaccinated, and otherwise you're going to have to keep your distance and take your precautions if you can't prove that, and that's their choice as well. To some extent, I can understand the push for that at public universities. They are publicly funded, and they're not necessarily private businesses, but at the same time, we require certain vaccinations for people to go to public schools. How is this any different than that? It's another situation where the Michigan GOP and similarly what we've had with Democrats continue to butt heads when they're doing the same exact thing. So in this case, it's the Michigan GOP saying, we don't think the government should have the right to tell anybody that they have to wear a mask, or that they can only have certain capacities in restaurants, and then come back and say, we don't think that businesses and universities should be allowed to decide whether vaccinated people and unvaccinated people can be together on the same campus at the same time, or the same location at the same time, and if it's safe. You can't have one without the other, and if you're going to preach one thing on one day, preach the same thing on the other day with your opinions as well. So I see some merit in this, but not much. And I think it's just another situation of people in government grasping at straws for the sake of making a fuss out of something that really there isn't a need to make a fuss about. The federal government, President Biden has already said before that the vaccine passport method is not something that's currently being considered. A lot of these businesses have said they're not going to consider it. Some might, but it's probably going to be a relatively small number of those businesses, especially as we get further along in the vaccination process where it may not even be necessary.
So I will say there are some school districts that don't require vaccinations to kind of counter what you're saying. But on top of that as well, when we're talking about this, there is a push for everyone to be vaccinated, to be able to get into things, whether it be concerts. And one of them, Tyler, by the way, going into our next headline, is really about vaccinated Americans might be able to add Europe to their summer travel plans. So fully vaccinated Americans looking to travel this summer will be able to add, according to the European Union, to their list of potential destinations. So the European Commission is working to make sure travelers can verify their vaccination with documentation that is compatible with its proposed digital green certificate. The Commission is working with U.S. Homeland Security on a system for the recognition of Americans' vaccination certificates, referred to as vaccine passports, including in terms of ensuring coherence and compatibility. Although the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said Americans who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 can resume travel at low risk to themselves, the agency is still not recommending travel given rising COVID cases. So the State Department last week, by the way, we reported on this, it was saying that it is raising the alert level for a number of countries as it factors the CDC COVID-19 data more heavily into its rating system. About 80% of the countries will now carry the do not travel label, which is indicated by a travel level 4. Keep in mind too, our immediate neighbors, Mexico and Canada, according to the Department of Homeland Security, the borders are going to remain restricted to non-essential travel through at least May 21st. And given the numbers here in the state of Michigan, at least with Canada, I would expect that travel ban to continue. So, you have the government saying one thing, but the reality is going to be the other thing. I think it's going to be pretty commonplace that you're going to have to show your vaccine in order to get into concerts or theaters or various entities, as well as travel.
Yeah, and independent businesses in other countries have the right to make those decisions and make those requirements. And if we want to participate in those concerts and we want to travel to those countries, we're going to have to figure out a way to comply with those requirements in order to do so, or refrain from doing so until those requirements are no longer in place. It's going to be just a fact of life going forward until we're fully out of this pandemic. And I would imagine, too, in the case of Canada, that they continue to restrict non-essential crossover between the U.S.-Canada border indefinitely, as they're having their own issues with their vaccination process. Some of the similar hiccups we had earlier on, trying to get to certain populations in a certain manner and making sure that they have enough vaccine to distribute properly and do so safely. So I would imagine Canada is going to continue to have an indefinite closure to that border, probably even through the summer, as they've been pretty consistent month after month extending the non-essential travel closure at the border.
With that though, as we round up the latest headlines, I will say, Tyler, I think one thing that could help Americans with this is if the government came out and said, if you have long-term side effects from these vaccines that we're pushing on you, then we're going to support you financially and medically as well. So if we're throwing the T word, $1 trillion word around to try to help our economy, there should be something in there for people that are, who got the vaccine because they thought they were being good citizens. And if they're one of the rare people to have these life-altering side effects, then the government and the taxpayers really, there should be some avenue for them other than, really, there is nothing right now because the government and the medical providers making these vaccines are not liable on any of these side effects.
Yeah, it's something that should definitely be considered and be thought about, because these are rare complications, but they do happen. They do impact people's lives, and a lot of these people that are doing this are getting their vaccine, even with some hesitancy in some situations, as a community service, thinking about their neighbor, thinking about people in neighboring states and across the country and around the world, trying to help other people get out of this pandemic as well as themselves. And if they end up with complications for simply doing their part and being in a bad situation, that's unfortunate. And it may be something that needs to be considered nationwide, as these people are taking a heroic effort to do their part to help other people.
So with that, just as a reminder, you can always get the latest headlines. Go to civiccentertv.com, click on coronavirus, and that's where you'll find the latest headlines. And then also on our website, while you're there, if you click on Megacast, you can always view previous episodes, or if you go to the on-demand section, you can also watch individual interviews. So, but with that though, Tyler, we're running a little bit behind, so we'll get back on schedule. A lot to get to here on the Megacast coming up here in the 10 o'clock hour. Next with us, we're going to be talking with Danny Halper. He is with Drag the Water. This is really kind of taken off, where people are taking magnets and dragging the waterways throughout Michigan. We'll talk to him. And then also coming up with us at 10:40 will be the mayor for the City of Keego Harbor. That's coming up here in the 10 o'clock hour of the Megacast.
Finally, I just got my COVID-19 vaccine.
I registered with my local health department and they called me.
I got mine at the pharmacy and my neighbor got hers from the hospital.
I'm not a techie person, so I called the COVID hotline and they helped me schedule an appointment.
Get vaccinated with the first vaccine you can. Protect us all.
Learn more at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. COVID-19 has caused many families to fall behind on finances and on groceries, but you're not alone. You shouldn't have to worry about putting food on the table. My Bridges offers access to quality food and income assistance to help families across the state get the food support they need. It's easy to apply and easy to start shopping. Apply for services at michigan.gov/MIBridges. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping. Taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, Having a free sample or 2 or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Always great to have you with us here on the Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the home studios. Mr. Tyler Keefe holding things down back at the office. For those, just as a quick reminder, you can always catch us on Civic Center TV, Birmingham area municipal access 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff. If you have cable, you can tune us in channel 15 on Comcast 99 on AT&T. See, that's what happens when you've only had like a half a cup of coffee. I need more caffeine to get my day going. It's Monday. I had a long weekend. I didn't get a break. But we continue on. And with that, let's bring in our first guest of the day, Danny Halper. He's the owner, operator, and operations manager for Drag the Water. Danny, thanks for being with us.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, lots happened.
And tell us, I will say, let's just start out with, for people who aren't familiar with what you're doing, bring us up to speed.
Oh, I take industrial strength magnets, anywhere from, I use anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 pound pull strength, but you can get them anywhere from 100 all the way up to like 3,800. You just connect them to preferably a high tensile rope, that's got a high braking, its max braking load is somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 pounds. So you're not going to snap it if you have to hook it up to something like a truck, if you get caught or stuck.
Okay, so let's back it up just a little bit, Danny. Let's go back to the beginning here. You guys take magnets.
Yeah.
And you drag the waterways.
Yeah, you just throw it out there and just pull it in. Simple.
Okay. So your name is, it's pretty self-explanatory, Drag the Water.
Yeah.
But why did you get into this to begin with?
I was laid off during COVID last year, about a year ago, and I just saw an ad on Facebook of a guy throwing a magnet in a river, and I thought this ought to be fun. Looks pretty interesting. So I went and got one, and then the rest is history. Here we are,
So I love that, because it really is just about, being exposed. So since you've started, I've noticed since our last interview, it seems like what you're doing and so many other people are doing is really gaining in popularity. It's almost become this thing for people to do.
Yeah, it's really taken off. Like when I started a year ago, there was literally just a handful of people that was doing it over here. Over in the UK, it had taken off, a couple of years prior, so that was nothing new to them. But it was just starting over here, and now a year later, I look back and it's like, look at all the people that have gotten into it. I mean, I know just from my page on Facebook, I started at September 7th, and I'm one person away from 2,000 people on it. I mean, it's just exploded, and I see other people's pages and YouTube's just going off, and I'm glad it's getting all this popularity. It's bringing awareness to cleaning up the water and how much trash is really under the water that you don't see. So it's a good thing all around. You find some cool things. Sometimes you find things that you can sell and make money, and you're cleaning up the water. You can take your scrap back. Like we took ours back about a month ago and made $226, a little over 2,000 pounds of scrap just out of the rivers in 7 months. I mean, it's just, it pays, it's rewarding in all aspects.
Danny Halper with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner and operations manager for Drag the Water, which is a local, you have a kind of a partner in crime. You guys just go out with a magnet, you throw it in the water, and you drag the bottom. Just try to see what you can come up with that. And with that, Danny, tell us, is this a hobby, or do you think you can make this a career?
Right now, it's just a hobby. We're making a little bit off of, the scrap that we take back. I've sold a few signs and a couple other items. We're sponsored by a couple different companies, so we do make a little bit of money off of the sales of kits if people buy them through our links. It would be nice to do this as a career because I really enjoy doing this. Because now we're doing metal detecting as well. So it's like the whole treasure hunting aspect, So it would be fun to do this as a career. If I guess that's the goal, is to eventually be able to do that. But I just see it being a hobby, just a hobby that pays, like a side gig.
With that, Danny, I was just about to ask how much of this is about more the treasure hunt. It's like modern day treasure hunting, right? Versus trying to help the environment, or does it just all come together as one?
For me, it's just all together as one, because as we're pulling up the scrap out of the rivers, I'm thinking in my head, yeah, that's another 20 pounds worth of scrap. Well, that's another, 30 pounds. And it all adds up, because I know how much we made on our last load. And it's like, we're cleaning the waters and we're making money doing it. So it's all rewarding, the whole thing, the treasure hunting, because when you find something cool, that definitely makes it worth it too, and keeps your interest, So it's just a great hobby to get into, if you like being outside and finding history and helping the environment by pulling out this nasty metal that's been under there for who knows how long.
So what's the most interesting thing you and your team have found under the water?
Yeah, let's see. Most interesting thing? Well, 3 weekends ago in Grand Rapids, I pulled out I don't know the year, but it's probably anywhere between 1940, 1960. It's for like running track and field, the starting cap pistols, the blank guns they use. I pulled one of those out. That was pretty interesting. I've never seen one of them before.
And you wonder, how in the world did it end up in the waterway, right? It's not a real gun. Real guns we understand.
Right. Like, I don't know how good this will work, but
no, that works. Yeah.
It's right there. I mean, that's interesting. I never pulled up anything like that. I mean, but that day was a special day. In literally an hour's time, I pulled up 3 different guns. I got that Smith & Wesson. Oh, how good it's showing. And then we got this, I pulled up this 22 caliber Smith Savage. It was only made for 4 years, 1964 to 1968. Wow. And that was pretty cool. I mean, I'd say, Jared pulled up a cannonball too, we think.
So on top of this, you almost have to play detective with some of the items that you're discovering.
Basically, yeah. I mean, it's researching it is half of the fun, really, because then you're really finding out what you pulled up, and then it makes you either that much more excited, or and want to find out more about it, or you're just like, oh, that's not what I thought it was, and then it goes into the scrap pile. That's happened a few times.
So with that, Danny, I have to say too, as someone who used to work for ATF, a lot of people will throw guns that have been used to commit crimes into the waterways. Are you afraid that what you're pulling up has been used in a crime to take someone's life?
Oh, I'm sure, and that goes through every magnet fisherman that's pulled out a firearm. You know, you gotta wonder why it's there. I mean, it's pretty suspect, but the ones that we're finding are old. Like the most recent one I think we pulled out was something in the 40s. I mean, I personally have not found anything recent. I mean, I know others have, and I know they turn them in, but the ones we find, we can't even find a serial number on them. I mean, they're just nasty. But I want to show this off real quick. I don't know if you heard, but a guy we know, a group we know out of Grand Rapids, Rustic Treasure Hunters, pulled out a 75 millimeter armor piercing artillery shell. It was from a Sherman tank from World War II. I think it was a couple weekends ago. They shut down the 6th Street Bridge for an hour and called the bomb squad in. That's pretty crazy. Like, oh, wrong way.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not more prepared.
No. It's good.
This is the guy that found it.
Yeah.
That's Chris Lampl. He's the one that actually found it. They closed the bridge down, like you can see. Grand Rapids Police. You know, they shut everything down. Yeah. Oh, darn it. They took it so serious. I mean, they have to take it seriously, but they ended up detonating it in a controlled blow up. You know, they blew the thing up. But I just thought, like, what would I do in that situation if I pulled up something like that? You know, I would be scared. You know, like, wow, I have a live round in my hand. At least I think it is. I would treat it that way. But it's like, what was that doing in the river? You know what I mean? Like, why?
Right. And how long has it been there? Danny Halper with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner, operator, and operations manager for Drag the Water. And with that, Danny, I know you guys recently did kind of a Drag the Water event at the Rouge River.
Yeah, that was last weekend.
It's good that you can only get metal, because I hate to think of the other things that are in the river.
Like, well, here was one of the things the guys pulled out. A big old safe. I mean,
were you able to open the safe?
Oh, they already had the door blown off of it and everything. You can see it already had been tampered with.
Wow, so your metals are that strong that they can pull up something that heavy?
That actually took like 7 people and 2 people down below. Yeah, I wasn't there for that. We actually led the Fort Street Bridge cleanup. That was my area, and all the other guys went to Jefferson Street. So they had gotten that before we had actually went down there to meet up with them a little bit later on. But a few handguns were found, like 357 that somebody pulled on. I think Ryan from Rustic Treasure Hunter got that one. Jared's aunt, her first time out, pulled out this half a shotgun.
Huh.
I mean, like, what luck, you know? She's hooked now. She definitely went out and bought one.
So have you guys been able to kind of coordinate with law enforcement agencies? Do they like that people such as yourself are doing this on the side as a hobby?
Well, we've been like stopped a couple, not really stopped, but they stopped a couple times in Grand Rapids recently, and they're into it as much as we are. I mean, they're like, hey, you guys get anything good today? You know, like, how's it going? You got, you know? And the one officer was like, well, let me see you throw that thing out there. So, I mean, they're interested to see what we pull up too, because, you know, I'm sure they're just waiting for that handgun that's, you know, a couple years old that somebody finds to, you know, solve a cold or you know, some kind of case. I mean, they're kind of, I mean, this is just my thinking. Maybe they're kind of dependent on us to help them with evidence in a sense, you know?
Right.
Like I say, I've never pulled out anything like that, but, you know, Toothless Outdoors has, Rustic Treasure Hunters have, you know? I mean, none of them have ever had a problem with it. I mean, we've been, like I said before on the previous interview, we were stopped by DNR, and, you know, they were cool with it. They were like, well, you know, thanks for cleaning up this river, you know?
Right. So you're helping the environment. You know, you're spending your time doing something that you think's interesting. I feel like this is kind of the modern day treasure hunt. How deep can you go?
Well, for instance, when we were in the Rouge, in the middle of the bridge, I was at the end of my 65-foot rope and with like 2 or 3 feet to spare. So 65 feet straight down from a bridge, you know, I mean, it's probably 30 feet of water with 20 to 25 feet of space between the water and the bridge. So 65 feet is my max, but the deepest I'm usually it's like 12 to 15 feet maybe, and lower. And usually I'm not searching for deep water, because then when I throw it way out there, it takes that much more rope to bring it in, and it kind of defeats the purpose for throwing it out there, because it's not going to stay there. But when you're in like 10 to 15 feet of water, you throw it 50 feet out there, it's going to drop and stay, and then you're able to pull in that 50 feet, you know, instead of like 10 feet if you were in a deeper water. You kind of got to like plan for it, you know, kind of study your water, you know, kind of know where you're going in a sense. Like when we went to the Rouge, I had no idea, never been in there before, nothing. So had I known, I probably would have brought the 100-foot rope.
Yeah, the Rouge is an interesting waterway with that. So Danny Hepler with us here. He's the owner operator for Drag the Water. Danny, we're running a little bit behind, but before we go, what is the weight that you can lift your magnets when you find things?
Yeah, I get asked this all the time. People ask that question, like, how much can I actually pull up? Like, what's the max? Well, this is how I figure it. In a perfect setting, clean metal, clean magnet, no water, dirt, nothing. You're probably, if you have, let's just use a 1,200 pound for an example, you're probably going to be able to pull up 80 pounds. It's not, I'm probably wrong, and this is my experience. It's not what it says. I mean, it says, yeah, they could pull up 1,200 pounds, but when am I realistically ever going to pull up a 1,200 pound object? It's just not going to happen. So when I buy a magnet or look or tell people, you know, it's like 25% is what you're going to pull up of what the magnet says, because when it gets in the water, it's going to be wet, it's going to get dirty, it's going to have magnetic sand and rocks and whatever else, and sludge and clay, whatever that bottom has in the river. So I can personally, the heaviest thing I've ever pulled up was an anvil that was like 75, 80 pounds. And that was with my Magnetar Beast, which can pull up to just under 3,100 pounds, it says, which realistically, I'm never going to pull anything up like that. And I'm pretty sure that magnet isn't either. You know,
it's still interesting though, right? Danny Halper with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner operator for Drag the Water. You guys have a Facebook page as well as a YouTube video. Danny, we wish you and Jared the best of luck, but also I know this is kind of modern day treasure hunting and so many more people are getting involved, but at the end of the day, we all benefit because you guys are cleaning up our waterways, and it was just Earth Day. So thank you for your treasure hunting.
I gotta say one thing real quick. I'm doing a sticker giveaway, and it's to try to get people to watch. The code word is "stuck on you." For anybody that's watching and stuck around this long to watch it, stuck on you. Get a hold of me, I'll give you a sticker.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And
stuck on you.
Stuck on
that's
you.
Fun.
Anybody watching it and messages me that, they're gonna get a free sticker. So, or maybe 2 stickers. We'll see.
Well, Danny, it's been great having you. Good to check in with you guys, and we wish you continued luck, but also thank you for what you're doing, because I know that you started it as a hobby while you were unemployed during the pandemic, but at the end of the day, it's also helping our environment. So thank you. We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. When we come back, the mayor of Keego Harbor will be joining us on the show. This is the Megacast.
Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days. The path back to celebrations with family. Nights out on the town with friends. Game days with your favorite sports teams. And the thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful, because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
We want to say thank you for taking time out of your Monday to be with us here on the Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl alongside Mr. Tyler Keefe, holding things down back at the studio while I hang out in my gym shorts here in my home office in the beautiful city of Keego Harbor, the heart of the lakes. And with that, let's go ahead and bring in the mayor of Keego Harbor, Brian Lampl. He is now, Brian, I will say, I always get confused over who's the mayor. Is this your first stint as the mayor? Because I know you've been on council before.
I've been on council. This will be my third year on council. This is my first year as the mayor of Keego Harbor. We typically rotate each year. So there's somebody usually new or somebody you've seen before, but we rotate through council.
So when, since we've been here, I think it's been Sid Rubin, obviously Kelman, and now you, and I think Yoder was even the mayor. So can I just call you Mayor 4? Because I feel like you're all mayors. Despite the title, you all are working for all of us here, the residents of Keego.
Absolutely. We each operate as a council, as a total. The mayor is obviously the chief executive officer of the city, but we each have one vote on council, and we operate as a cohesive council for the betterment of the city.
So before we jump into the politics of Keego Harbor, can I just ask you, what's it been like for you in the middle of a pandemic to not only be the member of an elected position, but to be mayor, but also people don't really realize you guys are paid a lot for this position.
No, sure that the compensation isn't really monetarily speaking. It's less than $150 a year, most of which I donate back to the city, to the garden club, if not all of it. It's a challenging time. I think people throughout our community, throughout the state, and obviously the greater country, been dealing with the pandemic, and I think it's presented some challenges. Fortunately, as a municipality, we were in really great shape heading into the pandemic financially. We had done some upgrades to our technology, so our computer equipment at City Hall, servers, desktop, those kinds of things, some portable computers. So it really set us up for being able to deal with the pandemic in terms of, we have obviously doing more things via Zoom, more things are being done remotely. So making sure that we had those core things so we could continue to provide services to our residents, I think was really, it was very fortunate that we got that all up and running about the year before.
Timing, right? Perfect timing. Yeah. We're talking with Brian Lampl. He is the mayor for the City of Keego Harbor. And with that, Brian, too, over the past year, I think there has been a lot of focus, sometimes for the first time, on really the important position that our elected leaders have played in helping us navigate this pandemic, especially as small business owners within the community, but also when it comes down to simple things such as, for us in Keego, it was opening the parks last year and the beaches on Cass Lake. What's that experience been like for you?
I think that we're, uniquely positioned to be able to help our residents through this. I mean, our city staff is small but dedicated. We've been looking for grant opportunities and other things to avail of to help our local businesses, to help us keep things moving. We were the recipient of about $125,000 of CARES money through the federal government, through Oakland County. 50,000 of that went to our restaurants and bars to be able to provide them with some, much needed ability to expand their outdoor dining during the winter months. So you may have seen some of the greenhouses. We provided propane tanks, propane heaters, electrostatic sprayers so they could disinfect. I mean, we've been trying to do what we can to help offset, some of the hardship. And I think what we've seen is, while of course there are stories all across the country, I think, we've seen people come together in the community to help one another. And I think that's, it's been great to be able to be a part of that and help facilitate that.
Even more so, I think, when we are in a small community, such as Kegel, it really is about supporting so many of these local businesses. But sadly, we have seen some, I'm not sure what exactly is going on with Bosco's, which is such a popular place here in Kegel. I know that, there are foodies throughout Oakland County, and that was one of the things when they're in this area, they're going to Bosco's, but they have not reopened throughout this pandemic. But then right across the street, we have a new place that is kind of re-energizing what used to be Rocket Eddie's, and I think it was Zibbles, but never really got off the ground. So how hard is it, and what are you doing to try to help new businesses coming into Kegel?
Well, I think, we've been looking at some of our operational things internally to help through the permit process and to be able to get through our boards and commissions at the planning commission level. We're undertaking, I'm sure you're familiar with the Tiffa district master plan that we've been looking at, and that would revitalize the Cass Lake corridor. So our Tiffa district is from Cass Lake Road up until a small sliver of Orchard Lake Road. So we've really focused on this master plan to be able to look at different ways that we can invigorate the area, which I think will attract additional people to come and to want to put their businesses there. I mean, this is the first time we're really doing placemaking as an economic development tool. So, we've seen over the years, obviously, you can see vacancies, vacant land, vacant storefronts. And I think that, using placemaking and using this ability to create and activate public spaces will actually help our local businesses quite a bit.
So we do want to invite, for so many people that live in Keego Harbor, if you just go to the city's website, there's a link there for you to take the survey. I may or may not take it more than one time because I feel like my voice overshadows my husband's voice. So, but with that, it looks exciting. And I feel like our community could be on the brink of being something different. But we also know we live in the Harbor Village subdivision, and when we bought in, there was a city master plan back then, like 15 years ago, that included, when we talk about the mobile home community, I know that's kind of a touchy subject here in Kegel, but that was supposed to be redeveloped 15 years ago. So for people that kind of buy into this community thinking it's on the brink of being something bigger and better, what is the realistic timeline, and is that going to happen? Because we're here and it hasn't happened, and we lost the other coffee shops. Like we used to have the Big B's here. That's how long I've been here.
I think that, we look at the master plan, the original master plans that we've done over the years, and I was a part of that when I was on the planning commission, this last one that we did before this Tiffa district master plan. And we did outline certain areas, and we did designate things that we'd like to see, and that's what our future land use map is about. But this master plan initiative is a little different. This is on the heels of a study that was done by the Gibbs Planning Group for retail and residential housing. And it showed the real opportunity that's available to us in this area. And this master plan will help us with a blueprint in order to move those forward. So one of the things, for instance, the difference between the master plans we've done where we've outlined what we'd like to see, this master plan will provide us with overlay codes that we can put in so that we can help to change the look and feel of buildings, that we can entice people who want to come in and utilize different best practices that are currently out there. And so I don't want to say we failed at it in terms of that, but this is a really a completely different endeavor. And one of the things that, council wanted to make sure, the city council wanted to make sure, was a few things. One is that we engage the community and have their buy-in, that we, to move this forward. So we asked those questions on the survey, do you even want to see Cass Lake Road changed? And if you do want to see it changed, how would you like to see it changed? And so we had about 300 responses to that, and most actually want to see this change happen. But in addition to that, the boards and commissions, we spoke with Tiffa, which is the Tax Increment Finance Authority board, and the Planning Commission, and we had a joint meeting, and we said, okay, here's what we're looking to do. We're looking to engage in this master plan initiative. How do you feel about it? And is this something that you're going to help us with, to help us pass those ordinances? I mean, there are a lot of moving parts to this. And so I think that, the commitment from City Council, from our Planning Commission, and from our Tiffa board, I think is extremely important, as well as our buy-in from the stakeholders in the community. And I think that'll be the difference between separating what you've seen in the past and that lag. So we could see some real changes in the next 3 to 5 years, certainly.
And let's hope by that time we are out of the pandemic and businesses start to rebound. And we know that construction has been hit right now because the cost of lumber is so high. So let's hope that as this all starts to actually come to realization, that some of those barriers that could be in place right now because of COVID-19 are no longer there. We're talking with Brian Lampl. He is the mayor for the City of Keego Harbor. You're listening to 89.3 WBLD, 88.1 WBFH. And with that, Mayor, just another minute or two with you here, because we do know one of the great things about Keego, our waterways and our parks. We're going into the summer season. Any new development or anything new on the front there that you want to remind people of?
Well, we have about 9 parks throughout the city and two public swim sites. Parks and Rec, during this time, we haven't planned any city-sponsored events, and there's quite a lead time before turning those events into, reality. So we'll be looking at doing more city-sponsored events in the coming months. City Council will review that. Parks and Rec has been really focused on improving beautifying our parks around the city. We have about 20 trees coming in the next couple of weeks that we'll be putting in and to help beautify things. The last year we put in some new playground equipment, and the city is using community development block grant funds for Rose Sorter Park to make it ADA compliant. So there'll be a ramp going into the gazebo and paving some of those pathways for helping to navigate. So, we've been using this time very strategically, I think, to be able to help to spur things along, make our city, improve the quality of lives, beautify the parks, those kinds of things.
So I know there are no citywide events, but one of the popular things here in Kegel and Sylvan Lake is the citywide initiative on the garage sales over Memorial Day weekend. Do you anticipate those are still going to happen? Hard to say because they're really private, right?
Yeah, it's hard to say. They're private. Obviously private events and things are still being done within the community, and those people that want to avail of that, certainly. We took the position to prioritize health and safety over this time, and so as I said, it's just difficult to just then turn and ramp up immediately.
Mr. Mayor, before we let you go, what's the new name of the old Eddie Rockets? Do you know yet?
I don't know the name of it. I know that it's a burger slider kind of place, but I think they only had a working title when they came when they came before the Planning Commission. I'm not sure what it is.
Okay, I think that title was what, J&L Burgers or something like that.
Something like that.
Just because I'm a geek, And so I went on and watched your planning commission meetings about it. So I know some neighbors aren't happy that they want to be open until 3 a.m. And if they can find the staff to be open till 3 a.m., bless their hearts. So again, we're talking with Brian Lampl. He's the mayor for the city of Keego Harbor. We're going into the summer season. Anything about the waterways? We know that Cote is very well known here on Cass Lake. In monitoring the waterways as we go into the summer season.
We will have our marine patrols out this year, as we usually do. And we're looking at different ways of improving that to make sure that everybody is able to enjoy the lake safely and if everyone can utilize it properly.
So as you go into your planning commission for the future of Kegel, I will say parking. For us that live in Kegel, we can't really go to the lake because there's no place to park. So it makes it a little bit difficult. But if I'm always like, can I swap with someone if they want to come to the trail? They can park at my house if I can park at their house to go to the lake.
Yes, parking has remained a challenge, and we are looking at trying to figure out ways that we can improve that as we revitalize the Cass Lake Road corridor.
Brian Lampl with us here on the Megacast. Mr. Mayor, anything maybe I didn't ask that you want to touch on before we say goodbye?
No, I think we've covered things. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here. Thank you.
And I will say, invest in Kegel. We're a hidden gem in this arena, but we don't want it to get too big. But but we still like it. So thank you again, Mr. Mayor, for being with us.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. When we come back, we'll be talking with the Business Development Director for Yaldo Eye Center. This is the Megacast.
In times like these, we have to believe in each other.
And we believe that you'll do the right thing.
When it comes to stopping the spread of COVID.
Follow the 3 W's.
Wear a mask.
Wash your hands.
Watch your distance. And when it's your turn to get the vaccine, take your shot.
It all comes down to the golden rule.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
We're so close, Michigan.
We can do this together.
Quitting smoking can improve your health, but it also protects your loved ones from secondhand smoke. Did you know there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke? Smoke from cigarettes, e-cigs, and hookah can travel through ventilation systems and harm those around you. So clear the air and stop secondhand smoke. Call the Michigan Tobacco Quit Line at 1-800-784-8669. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
We want to say thank you for being with us here on the Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in my home studios. Mr. Tyler Keefe holding things down back there in West Bloomfield. As a reminder, you can always catch us live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon. Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access. If you have cable, we do want to say thank you because a portion of your fee helps support programming such as this. So you'll find us on channel 15 if you have Comcast, at 99 on AT&T, but we also make it easy for you. If you're out driving around, you can listen to us on the radio, 89.3 WBLD, 88.1 FM The Biff. And then today we are also live streaming today's edition of the Megacast on our social media sites. So that means that you can pretty much catch us anywhere that you would like to tune in, which makes us the Megacast. Really, the reason why we do this show is it was born out of the beginning of the pandemic. And when Tyler and Dave Scott started it all those months ago, they thought it would be a great way to keep the community informed 2 weeks, maybe a month, as we all try to manage the COVID-19 crisis. However, we are more than a year into this, and we all continue to be impacted. So we are still on the air, still bringing you the interviews and how this pandemic has really impacted all of us, including our businesses. And with that, let's bring in Cody Oselett. He's the Business Development Manager for Yaldo Eye Center. Cody, thank you for being with us. Our apologies for running a little bit behind.
That's all right. Thank you so much for having me.
So with that, Cody, tell us more. We're more than a year into this. How is the team at Yaldo Eye Center doing right now?
It's made us adapt a lot. To first start out, we were deemed unessential. That is optical. So,
really, I would think you'd be essential.
Now the medical side of things, as far as eye emergencies, we're open for those certain type of emergencies. But when it comes to cataracts or LASIK or glasses, we were completely closed down for quite some time. And then coming back, we had to re-engineer, how we did things safely, and it made us adapt, and it made us better, and it's been good.
And so with that, you are back open. Are you seeing an influx of patients right now? Because we're all spending way too much time staring at our computer screens.
I would say there's multiple reasons. Number one reason is people no longer want to have their glasses fogging up from the mask. A huge one.
How do you prevent that, by the way? Do you have a secret?
Yeah, get LASIK, and we'll get you out of glasses, or multiple other options. That's one thing that's really driven us. Obviously, I think the pandemic has made us realize that the things that we deal with in every day, there's ways to change it. That's why the housing market's so crazy. We want to be in the house we want. Maybe we're over glasses and over touching our eyes, dirty eyes or with dirty hands. So we want LASIK. So I think it's opened our mind to really getting what we want, and our industry's fallen into that.
We're talking with Cody Oselett. He's a business development manager for Yaldo Eye Center. We do know that you're pretty well known here in the Metro Detroit area. When people are thinking about trying to have LASIK, what advice do you give them and your team?
So just to make it clear as well, we do LASIK, cataract surgery, and then a multifocal implant. Anytime that, where you really want to start, as far as LASIK goes, that's the people that really just need to see distance wise. And we would just have them go to our website, fill out a questionnaire, and it'll lead you to the right path. But then there's people, once you get to a certain age, we need help with reading up close and mid-range as well. So we have an option called a clear lens exchange. Once again, that questionnaire will kind of get you there. And then cataracts. Everyone ends up getting cataracts. We do cataracts. Dr. Yaldo is one of the leading people for that. So once again, YaldoEyeCenter.com. We have a questionnaire that'll lead you in the right direction and get you in for a free evaluation.
So with that, we do know that it's not just adults, but also kids are staring at their screens so much more. When do parents know that they should take notice as to changes in how their kids are viewing the screen?
Well, usually the primary eye care, physician is going to be able to determine with some tests when they're younger if they need glasses and whatnot. But as far as the screen usage goes, there are blue light lenses out there that can help. I can see the tint of blue coming off your glasses. Your non-glare has it, and that makes a big difference as far as filtering. But as far as noticing a difference, I think we're going to see an influx of dry eye from people being, so close to the computer screen and whatnot. Those tall tale signs, the kids itching their eyes, things along those lines, get them in and we'll take care of them.
So I have to ask you, I know it's kind of an old wives' tale, but I know you're not a doctor, but is there anything to the old adage, like, don't be so close to the TV? Because we're all binging Netflix right now. But I remember growing up and your mom saying, move away from the TV, you're too close,
Well, I think part of that was like they thought radiation came from TVs back in the day, like microwaves, and that is completely not true. But as far as your eye goes, yeah, any type of eye strain you're doing, I don't know if you ever realize, if you watch a kid watching TV, they don't blink for like 30 minutes. And that is terrible for your eyes. So yeah, there is something that goes along to it. Obviously playing outside is better, but if they're going to have to do it, I guess moving back and then setting time limits.
Cody Oselett with us here on the Megacast. He's a business development manager for Yaldo Eye Center. And with that, Cody, if I can ask you, when we're talking about LASIK, what is the procedure like and what is the recovery like?
Nowadays, technology's came so far. It's all custom treatment based off of the scans that we do when you come in for your evaluation. The whole procedure takes about 10 minutes, which is amazing. It's quick, seamless. A lot of people, if we do our procedures on Thursday, they're back to work and good to go on Monday. You could even start the next day. We tell you to, take a day off. It's amazing. I used to be an optical for a long time. So what I meant is I sold glasses, and that was great too, because glasses give people confidence and they look nice. But the fact that I see people who wake up every day, can't see the alarm clock, after a 10-minute procedure, they come in the next day and they're 20/20. It's amazing, and it's really life-changing.
Yeah, I will say, you hear the stories about as soon as you hit 40, you're going to need glasses. No way. But I have actually gone to buy things, and the price was different than what I thought it was because I couldn't see. And then it was like, okay, at this point in time,
the arms too far away thing. So we have a thing for that real quick. There's LASIK, and then we have a thing called or a procedure called clear lens exchange, where we're doing your cataract surgery early for you, even though they're not ripe enough. It's a little bit more expensive, but what it's getting you is near or mid-range, and then also distance. So we're giving you perfect vision for the rest of your life, and you no longer need cataract surgery. Great procedure. We're really pushing it, and we've had a lot of good outcomes.
Well, I will say too, I found a salvation for not being embarrassed to pull out my glasses. There's an app on your phone. It's a reading glasses app. So you can just pull it out and you look like you're on your phone, but you're really,
I like your glasses look great though. I'm sure they're multifocal.
So with that though, Cody, if I can ask you, I did work with Jessica Starr at Fox 2, and we know the tragic story with Jessica, and that she did have eye surgery. She wore contacts for years and wanted to get rid of them. And she was, I think she did a new procedure, which was called SMILE, and I forget what that stands for. But sadly, because of the complications from the eye surgery, she ended up committing suicide. So her family believes. How much has that impacted, or at least opened up the dialogue for the team there at the Yaldo Eye Center?
Well, being as compassionate as possible, there's, I think, a lot more to what causes something like that to happen. We're in the name of changing people's lives for the better. We see phenomenal outcomes and really allow people to, break away from their freedom from that. Could there be more that was going on elsewhere for her situation? I think that might be the case. How did it impact us? I know for a long time it did impact us greatly. It's something that was really sad, and I think it was taken very far, on purpose, because something like that, it's very tragic. But with that being said, I think it takes a lot from us by doing evaluations, making somebody. We take a lot of steps to make sure that somebody is a good candidate. We make sure they're going to have a good outcome. I can't speak on her care because it wasn't with us, but I know that the determination that Dr. Yaldo and our team does to make sure that you're a good candidate, you're not going to have complications or anything in the future. That's really what makes a difference. Anyone or any eye surgeon can do procedure, but taking those initial steps, being diligent, being conservative gets us good outcomes. It makes people happy, and that's really what we try to focus on and take care of our patients.
Yeah, and it really is. Have a conversation, with your healthcare provider, and a lot of people are having these conversations not just about LASIK, but we're also seeing it right now about the vaccine, and it's important to be informed on these medical conditions and know the risk and the dangers and whether or not you're able and willing to be able to take those. And I know, I'm quite certain that following her death, because it was here, while it made national news, it definitely hit us here close in Metro Detroit, but it opened up the conversation, which is always a good thing, is to have the conversation between yourself and your healthcare provider. So with that, Cody, too, when should people know if the decision is right for them to try to get LASIK or not?
Are they sick of wearing glasses and contacts? That's the number one. Or do you want to see when you wake up? Next, I would, book evaluation with us. What our doctor's going to do is look at the overall health of your eye, make sure that you meet all the criteria. Look at your prescription that has, sometimes a impact on whether or not you can have procedure. Then look at lifestyle. What do you do? There's certain procedures that we can't do in a truck driver because he needs, perfect distance vision. I can't help him with his up close sometimes, but there's other options like the clear lens exchange where we can. But what I mean is look at your occupation. Are you looking at bright lights all day? Are you have a risk of dry eye or working in a facility where maybe there's a lot of steam or something? There's a lot of things that we can do to make sure that you're a good candidate, and we have multiple procedures to determine that as well. I'm confident in my team and Dr. Yaldo that we're going to get every one of our patients a very good outcome. We're going to make sure that we're looking at health before we look at what the patient wants, and then we'll take it from there.
Cody Oselett with us here on the Megacast. He's the business development manager for Yaldo Eye Center. If people want to find out more information, or maybe even to book a consultation, how can they do so?
Please head to yaldoeyecenter.com. You can see the consultation form there. We're a little bit of a questionnaire. Then also all of our social media, we have, a bunch of reviews to take a look at, or ask around. Once you start asking around, you got to know someone who's had LASIK and had it done by Dr. Yaldo.
Right. And, for so many of us in the pandemic, we are using our eyes differently right now because we're in front of the TV so much more. We're in front of the computer screen so much more. And we realize that, our eyesight is so important. So we need to take care of our eyesight as well.
Yes, very much so. I mean, I think it's made us realize that we don't want to settle for a lot of things. So if we can get you out of glasses and contacts and make you feel more free, it's definitely a good step to take.
I will say, Cody, before I had to wear glasses, I was one of those people, you were kind of jealous of people with glasses, right? Do you remember a few years ago, it was really big to get glasses with the fake lenses in them?
Yeah, but that's because we didn't need them. When you have to rely on them and people have to go on vacation and remember to bring multiple pairs of glasses or wear contacts, or think about going in salt water with contacts on. There's so many things that people that don't need glasses don't realize what others go through that do. And it's a hindrance in some ways, but they can also make you look really good too. So there's a fine balance.
They can be stylish, but they're also a pain when you have to do interviews all day because the lighting, we're constantly fighting with the lighting here to try to get rid of the glare. It's constant, and we're all feeling it right now.
Yeah, that's a big one as well.
Well, Cody, we so appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys having me on. Once again, yaldoeyecenter.com. Also, please reach out to me personally, LinkedIn or wherever it is. I can get you, in contact with who we need to have you talk to get procedure done.
Thank you again, Cody. We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. When we come back, we are going to have the coordinator of early childhood and school-age childcare for the West Bloomfield School District. That's coming up next here on the Megacast.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Have you take time out of your Monday to be with us here on the Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in my home studios. Mr. Tyler Keefe holding things down back there at Civic Center TV. We're going to kind of change focus here just a little bit. So many people are worried about our kids right now, especially the youngest ones. How are they managing? in this pandemic, but also how are they learning? To talk a little bit more, let's bring in Laura Paxson. She's the coordinator of early childhood and school age child care for the West Bloomfield School District. Laura, thank you for being with us.
Yes, hi, Ronnie. Thank you for having me very much.
Give us an overview. How are things going right now with our littlest students?
They're wonderful. They're amazing. One thing I think this pandemic has shown us, kids are resilient. Kids they just have a joy for life that sometimes as adults we don't always have. And they come into the classroom every day excited to learn, excited to see their teachers, and they go with it. They go with whatever we're doing. So they've been wonderful. It's been good.
I also kind of wonder too, like when you're that young, they may not know that it's so different. And so they go with the flow. It's really about our reactions and the energy that they're picking up from us as adults.
Exactly. And they can sense our energy. So even if we're saying we're happy, they know if we're feeling that stress or that anxiety. So we put things into place. We've been very flexible, very responsive, putting different things into place in all of our preschool classrooms. And the kids have responded really well to it.
So tell us more about the preschool academy there at West Bloomfield.
So our preschool program offers a variety of different programs to meet a family's needs and a child's needs. So we offer half-day preschool programs. We offer full-day preschool programs with both before school care and after school care. And then we offer the GSRP program, which meets some of our low-income families. And this year we implemented a virtual preschool, knowing that we had some families that were feeling a little uneasy about coming into the building, but still wanted to have that preschool experience. So we created our Little Lakers online, and it's went surprisingly well. So it's good.
So when we're talking about preschool, the age range that we're including here?
We provide preschool to 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds.
I'm thinking about a 3-year-old in front of a computer screen. I will say though, they are so much more engaged when it comes to video games and things on your phone. I've seen some kids like take their parents' phone and they navigate it so much better than we do as adults. But we do know too, starting today, they're trying to, here in the state of Michigan, they're requesting that kids as young as 2 wear a mask as well. How is that going?
It actually hasn't changed what we've been implementing from the beginning. So in the beginning, masks were highly encouraged or highly recommended. So from the beginning, we came in and they had to wear them in the hallways. So when they get out of the cars and they come into the building, they were required to wear the masks as soon as when they walk in the door. So that we have implemented from the very beginning of school. Sometimes the kids would walk in the classroom and they just wouldn't take it off because it was on and they were comfortable with it and they never even thought about taking it off. So really we just encouraged them to wear it, and if they were okay with wearing it, we allowed them to keep that on and they wore it throughout the day. So it really hasn't changed much for us because we've been implementing things from the beginning. Now we have a couple that may have a hard time keeping it on, or we might need to change it often, but that's okay. We just meet that child where that child is and that family. A lot of communication has been happening with the parents to say, here's what we're implementing, and sharing with us how they feel about that, because we have some parents that aren't excited to have their child wearing a mask in school, and some that feel like, they really want their child wearing a mask. So it's a lot of communication, a lot of listening, and a lot of encouraging our kids to move with this, go with it.
We're talking with Laura Paxson. She's the coordinator of early childhood and school age child care for the West Bloomfield School District. When I think about 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds, I think they're little wiggle worms, right? They're so full of energy.
Yeah.
How do you take that and really kind of, you have to put a little bit of a lid on it to try to teach them, but also in the middle of a pandemic?
That's a typical day in a preschool classroom. So the wiggles, the moving, but we provide ways to get those wiggles out. Times a day where they come to our morning message, and that's the start of the day where we're sitting down and the teacher's talking about, okay, here's what we're going to do today. And they're sharing a morning message with print and pictures and a lot of communication with the kids. And there's some that are up and down and they're moving, and that's okay. That's age appropriate. So teachers are very good at moving with it and allowing them to have that time. And then they know when I'm sitting at the table and I'm working on their small group, they still can stand, they can sit. So it's about meeting the child where they are.
So I know you're in the middle of registration. How is it going right now? Are you seeing an influx of parents wanting to enroll their kids into the program, or are people still on the sidelines right now?
So registration is going well, where we're somewhat where we were last year at this time. So that's a positive. I think parents are starting to want to move back into that normal routine of sending them back to preschool. We do have some parents that are still asking questions and are still a little hesitant. And throughout this entire pandemic, we feel we just need to be flexible and we need to be understanding. So if parents are feeling hesitant, we'll say, you don't have to make this decision today. We all know how things can change daily with this pandemic. So give it some more time. We're here. Call us when you're ready. Call us when you have any other questions, and we'll meet your needs.
So how many students are accepted into this program?
It varies every year, and we have the availability, the space to add classrooms as needed. So right now, I think we have around 160 students enrolled, and that can be increased, with the need, the demand.
We're talking with Laura Paxson. She's the coordinator of early childhood and school-age childcare for the West Bloomfield School District. If I'm a parent, I'm sitting at home. I'm trying to make these decisions. It could be even challenging outside of a pandemic, but in the middle of a pandemic, what have you found to be the benefits of enrolling children into a program such as this?
It's that communication piece, because you have somebody to ask questions to. We're a resource. We are, we have teachers. I think one great thing about our district preschool program is we have very low turnover rate. So we have some teachers here that have been here for over 25 years and working with preschoolers. Preschool age group is their passion. That's their love. So asking questions. We understand that preschool is that first experience with school. It's sometimes that first experience with children leaving home. So it's important for us to build those relationships with the parents, and it's important for us to talk with the parents and be available for questions that they might have.
So when we're talking about, because I just think in general, socialization, right? This is where kids learn to interact with other kids, but other people outside of that family dynamic. Just a little thing about sharing your coloring books. I mean, those could be big things, especially if you don't have a brother or sister at home.
Yeah, yes. And that's all a part of our curriculum and a part of preschool. Preschool focuses not just on the academic piece, but that social emotional development and coming in, learning a routine, gaining independence, gaining that confidence to take risks that we want them to have when they enter into kindergarten, and building that strong foundation for school.
So how does it work if a parent is signing up? Do they basically say, hey, I want to be in person or I want to be remote, or can they do a hybrid situation?
We've had students that are doing hybrid. So we have a few of our virtual learners that are also in person. So they have the same teacher for the virtual preschool program that they do in person. So they might do 2 days virtual, 1 day in person. A majority of our students are all doing in person. So I think parents also feel the same way. They don't really want them in front of the computer all day. So we keep it very age appropriate. They're on there for a morning message for 10 minutes. They come together for a small group. It might be 30 minutes, a large group activity. So it's not a 9 to 3 preschool. It's more like a 10 to 10:30, 11 to so.
And with that, Laura, too, I was going to ask, what are the hours? Are they half days? Are they just a few hours? Like, is it every day of the week?
Yep. So we have in-person programs that meet half day, full day. And you can choose 3 days a week, 4 days a week, or 5 days a week. We really want families to be able to do what they need to do or what meets the needs of the child. And then the virtual preschool works the same way. They can choose 3 days, 4 days, 5 days a week, but it is a very shortened period of time. So they join for a morning message in the morning. Then they come back for a small group activity, usually I think around 11, and then a large group activity around 2. So students are getting those key pieces, that morning message, that small group activity where they're focusing on those goals, those academic goals and social goals, and then a large group where they get those wiggles out and they can dance and enjoy movement.
So I'm just curious, what's been the response this year compared to last year? Because this time last year we were in the midst of really the COVID pandemic, not knowing where things are going. And while we're not out of it yet, I think people are, just more used to being able to live with COVID. And we do have the vaccine. While it's not available for kids, it is for so many other family members. So are you seeing it's a different conversation with parents now this year versus this time last year?
Yes, I think it's definitely a different conversation last year. Like you're saying, last year we didn't know what to expect. We thought we were closing for 3 weeks and then it went into the rest of the school year. So I think parents didn't know what to expect. And now we still don't know what to expect necessarily, but we know what we can do for ourselves and for our children to keep us safe. So continuously washing hands, wearing our mask, social distancing when we can do that. And we know a little bit more of what that looks like.
Yeah, and with that, Laura, too, I wonder, like from a child's standpoint, if they've spent the last year pretty much in a lockdown mode,
yeah,
this could really be such a big change for them to go from, quarantine in my family, my cohort, maybe a couple friends in the neighborhood, compared to going into a classroom, and that interaction could definitely be needed, but almost starting from the beginning.
Yeah. In preschool, like we talked about before, it's the first experience, might be the first experience they've ever left home or left mom and dad and grandma. And we always expect that a little bit of that separation anxiety in the beginning of the school year. Teachers will prepare themselves mentally to say, I know I'm going to have a child who's going to cry in the beginning of the year and not want to leave mom or dad when they're dropping off. This year, we wondered how much more we are going to see. We did have some of that, but overall, I think it was about the same as what we normally expect in a preschool classroom. And our preschool teachers are amazing because they know how to respond to that, to help the parent feel more comfortable and help the child feel comfortable.
So with that, Laura, where can people find out more information if they haven't registered, and what is the deadline?
Registration is open, but we are offering half price registration up through May 3rd. So if parents can contact Colette Goestenkors, or they can go to our website. They can email her at colette.goestenkors@wbsd.org, or they can go to the West Bloomfield School District website and go to our preschool page and contact that information.
Laura, anything maybe I didn't touch on that you want to add before we say goodbye for the day?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about preschool. We're always excited to talk about our preschool program, and we're happy to talk to any parents that are looking into preschool, and just to give us a call to ask questions. We're happy to answer those questions.
I will say, for some of the parents that maybe have more than one child at home, and if they've had to try to remote teach, they're going to be like, preschool is the way to go, in person, out of the house.
In the door. We're happy to have them. The more the merrier here.
Well, Laura, we always appreciate your time. Thank you again for being with us here on the Megacast.
Thank you very much, Ryan.
Laura Poxon with us. She's the coordinator of early childhood and school age childcare for the West Bloomfield School District. We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. Just about 20 minutes left in the show. The 2 hours just flies by like that. And when we come back, we'll be talking about furniture. That's next on the Megacast.
Over a decade ago, the journey to a COVID vaccine began. Building upon research on other coronaviruses, scientists continued with months of research and development, 3 phases of clinical trials with tens of thousands of diverse volunteers, then peer review and authorization to deliver a safe and effective vaccine that will protect all of us. Discover the facts for yourself at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine.
Quitting smoking can improve your health, but it also protects your loved ones from secondhand smoke. Did you know there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke? Smoke from cigarettes, e-cigs, and hookah can travel through ventilation systems and harm those around you. So clear the air and stop secondhand smoke. Call the Michigan Tobacco Quit Line at 1-800-784-8669. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days. The path back to celebrations with family. Nights out on the town with friends. Game days with your favorite sports teams. And the thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful. Because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Finally, I just got my COVID-19 vaccine.
I registered with my local health department and they called me.
I got mine at the pharmacy and my neighbor got hers from the hospital.
I'm not a techie person, so I called the COVID hotline and they helped me schedule an appointment.
Get vaccinated with the first vaccine you can. Protect us all.
Learn more at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine.
Have you with us here on the Megacast. We want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to tune in to the show. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in my home studios. Mr. Tyler Keefe holding things down back there in West Bloomfield. We always appreciate the work that he does to get the show on the air each and every day. As a reminder, if you are just tuning in for the very first time, Tyler and I are here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon, bringing you long form interviews with so many people throughout our community as we all try to continue to navigate the COVID-19 crisis. So you'll find us on Civic Center TV, Birmingham Municipal Access, but also if you have cable, you will find us on Channel 15 if you have Comcast, 99 on AT&T, and then you can dial us in on the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM, The Biff. Today, we are also live streaming today's edition of the Megacast on our social media sites, our Facebook page, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. So thank you again. Just about 20 minutes left here in the show. And for so many of us, we all know we're spending so much time in our homes. And what does that mean? We're nesting and we want to make improvements. And the easiest way and the fastest way to do that is with furniture, of course. To talk a little bit more, let's bring in Dave Dilley. He's the operations manager and co-owner for Bright Ideas Furniture located in Royal Oak. Dave, thank you for being with us.
All right, thanks, Ronnie, for having me.
How are you doing throughout the pandemic?
We're good. You know, some businesses have been lucky and some have not. I would say we were on a roll before the pandemic. We moved to a brand new location after 35 years and things were going great and the pandemic hit and we said, oh crap, what's going to happen, right? So, you know, we had about 2 months of just about 3 of us manning everything, you know, one person running the warehouse to still collect things and us to answer phones and texts and emails and switching off. So one day would be one person, the next day would be another. But, you know, once things opened up and you know, I remember vividly the day that some businesses were able to open and people thought furniture was one of them. We got we get about 15, 20 texts a week from our system. We got like 20 in a day. And it was the same day that she opened it up. So it's been really busy. Our challenge has been getting furniture, which is what many people have. Fortunately, we have good relations with a lot of our vendors, but there's been a lot of natural causes other than COVID in the world that has caused problems. But we are upfront with our customers. We work with them. We have in-stock merchandise. We have merchandise we can get sometimes in 3 to 4 weeks. And then we have others that will take, 16, 20 weeks. So,
wow.
So that's been the weird one, has been this special order. But we've also found that people want what they want, and so they're willing to wait. And it's rough, but they're like, and I don't want to wait 4 months, but they want what they want. And at the end of the day, it's the sofa you're going to live with, or the chair you're going to live with. And is it worth, getting it 2 months early and not get what you want? And that's what we're finding. So
I will say the more time we spend at home, I'm like, I have to have a new couch. It's driving me crazy, but I do feel like we are spending so much more time in our homes and living differently right now as well. And I think that's even going to probably continue after the pandemic. And so, people want to buy new furniture. It's one of the easiest things you can do to change up your house.
Right. I think furniture and paint, right? I mean, paint's the other nice, easy one.
Yeah, but paint's a pain. Furniture, I can call up and have it delivered.
Yeah.
Paint, no. Yeah. It's a mess.
So, right. But we've tried. Last fall, I kind of determined that I knew that things were going to get a lot tighter. And so we actually started bringing in furniture that we really liked. The good thing is like the buyers, our two buyers have been doing this for 20 years. We know what our customers, the type of modern furniture they want. We found our niche. We aren't the low priced furniture store. We gave that up after IKEA came, and we said we need to be the next. We always had the next, but we were like, we're not going to compete with IKEA. So we said we need to do when people are done with IKEA, and they want something that's going to last longer, be more comfortable, and fill that niche. That's where we kind of have focused our attention. So our buyers are very well aware of that. Small scale furniture, like apartment size furniture, is really big when you think of all the homes in, Birmingham, Royal Oak, Ferndale, and now home office. Like we have a lot of small apartment size love seat sleepers that now people can sit in their office and watch TV for a break. They now have an extra room for someone to sleep. So that's been like a big thing. So we've been bringing a lot of that in, and we have stuff in stock. We have stuff we can get in 3-4 weeks. So, yeah.
So David, we could talk about that because you are a local company, a family-owned company, but talk a little bit more about your style of furniture, because it's not stuff you're going to find at some of the other big box furniture stores, such as, I was going to say Art Van, but they're not here any longer, Gardner White.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty different from Gardner White. I mean, clearly their goal, they're probably still a little more entry, and then as their price goes up, probably hits kind of our entry. They have a lot more stock type furniture. The big box stores that I would say, like West Elm is in downtown Birmingham. That's the store that, kind of our starting price point is right where that is, in a similar style. I tell people, if you're looking at Crate and Barrel, Design Within Reach, Room and Board, those types of companies, that's really where our niche is. We have different brands. I believe better pricing, and not to the quality level, I guess. But we also hear that from our customers, right? We get a lot of customers that come in and say, I bought a $1,500 sofa and it fell apart in a year. And, where I'm like, well, we can sell you one for $1,799 or $1,999, and it's going to last you a decade. And so, So we're very, we're definitely more modern, very clean, a lot of mid-century modern. We're one of the largest modern stores in Metro Detroit. There's a few that are similar to us that are family owned, but we have a very large showroom and a new showroom. So, I like to go up against big box every day. I have no issues with it. We have a lot of exclusive brands, and it's because we do really well with it. So
we're talking with Dave Dilley. He's the operations manager and co-owner for Bright Ideals Furniture located in Royal Oak. But you moved after 35 years. You moved to a new location just before the pandemic. Were you stressing a little bit in the beginning?
Our move was the best so our family's owned the business for 47 years. We were in downtown Royal Oak for 35. And my wife and I for years said the only place we would move was Woodward. And we said that's it. We really don't have another place. As time went on, we realized that we didn't feel parking was an issue, but our customers did. Our customer base was getting older. And so we said we need parking. We also used to be on 3 levels, where now we're on 1. So we purchased the old Haberman Fabrics building that many people know Haberman's, and they moved to Clawson and have a nice new location there, and so we were able to get a nice big store. So we weren't really stressing that much about it. We were still really happy with our move because our customers have been happy that we have parking. We're on 1 level. They're coming and staying and working with our staff to help design their home. So I don't know. I don't think we were really stressing about that. I think we were ready. Like, this was the right move.
So with that, we do know you're right next door to Orange. What is that?
Orange Theory Fitness is
yes.
Correct. They are in. When we moved, one of our decisions was to bring another tenant with us, and Orange Theory was a good customer base to bring with us that we see a lot of flow and traffic.
Because I'm thinking that's intimidating. Their classes are hard. If anyone is out there, if you've never tried it, you want to work out, go try them. But with that, Dave, too, we've seen a lot of businesses, they try to get creative throughout the pandemic. And when we're talking about furniture and coming in and picking fabric and this, that, and the other, have you guys tried or had to go to any type of Zoom type consultations or anything of that nature?
We haven't had to go to Zoom. I thought we would, but we didn't. During shutdown, we were able to do everything via phone, text, and email. And then if customers wanted fabrics, we would drop them in our lobby and they would just come grab them from our lobby and then return them. So there was really no contact. But, we have our store's large, and, we're not like Costco or Trader Joe's where you have all these people trying to come in. So we've never had, when we were able to reopen, our occupancy by the state is like 200 people. So 25% of that was like 55 people. I mean, typically we don't have more than, 4 or 5 groups. So maybe 10 or 12 people in the store. So think if you went to Trader Joe's and there was only 20 people in the whole store of Trader Joe's, you would feel pretty safe and distanced. So we never had that. We ended up, people wanted to come and they wanted to sit and be in like a low traffic environment.
So it's it was really a good timing that you moved locations.
Yeah, I think it was really, our other store is about the same size, but this was much more manageable. We have 3 doors to our location. We went to 1 door, so everyone had to come in and out of 1 door. We could have a station there to, with masks and and sanitizer and things like that. So, our staff is very, it's easy to sit back from someone. You don't have to get up next to them. to work. So our staff's been great. I mean, they were happy to come back when we were able to reopen. Our staff was ready. They were tired of being at home, and I think our customers were too. They were ready to come in.
That is so true. But if I can ask you about staffing as well, because we do know so many businesses right now are really struggling with employees. How are you and your team doing on that front?
That's a good question. So we're actually hiring. We, are looking for 1 or 2 full-time sales staff. Our staff that's been with us, typically when we hire, we want long-term people. I think our youngest staff member's been with us about 6 years. So,
wow, you're very lucky.
Yeah, and I think 4 or 5 have been with us 20 years. So, we feel like it's a pretty, laid back family atmosphere. We have great customers. We get lots of repeat customers. So, that has been a challenge, and I've been reading a lot about that being a challenge. But we've been searching. We have a few people we've talked with. We've offered a few jobs that people have declined. They decided to go a different direction, or whatever the reason might be. We have a few people we have just gotten some resumes, but if we also need the right person. I think the challenge, you hear the restaurant business is a big challenge. One of our challenges is that we don't want someone for like 3 months because the amount of time it takes us to train. So, we've had some pretty good people, but the issue was that we felt, and I think even they felt, that this was like a temporary spot until the economy came back. And then they're like, oh, I want to go back to doing commercial interior design. So, what we closed on Sundays. And so we're open 6 days a week instead of 7. And we've heard that from many stores across the United States that we're friends with, is they've just cut back hours and kept their core team on and said, we're going to give great service 6 days a week instead of 7. And we've heard some that have gone back to 5, So I will say our whole staff, and even my wife and I included, we being closed on Sundays has kind of been nice. Because even when we try to go on vacation or travel, there'd still be a phone call on Sundays, or we'd be at a soccer game and there'd be a phone call on Sundays. And it's kind of nice to actually have that day off. And I think a lot of businesses might stick with that model.
Right, because if people know the hours, they're still going to come. We're talking about Dave Dilley. He's the operations manager and co-owner for Bright Ideas Furniture, located in Royal Oak. And with that, Dave, just another minute or two here with you on the show. I know for me, like every time I open up my social media, I'm bombarded with ads from Wayfair and Jossam Main. How do you compete with those companies that are online, or the Amazons out there?
Well, number one is we, in our store, I'll go back. I think Wayfair and us are very different. Clearly, when you start getting to the price point of a $2,000 sofa, I know people buy them online, but a lot of our customers are going, I don't know how you spend $2,000 on something you can't see or sit in. Because I could bring you to our showroom and have you sit in 10 sofas and you'd find 2 or 3 that are uncomfortable, right? They just don't fit you, right? So it's a difficult thing. Our goal is for people to find us online, right? Find our website. We don't sell online because we have so many options and special orders, and we want it to be right for you. But we have some lines that cross over to Amazon and Wayfair. And I actually love it. And I tell our staff all the time, I said, if a customer comes in and looks for this product and we know it's on Wayfair, make sure you let them know it's on Wayfair, because we are typically less expensive than Wayfair. And I know that's shocking for people to hear, but I did a 3-piece desk setup and Wayfair was $27.99 and we were $22.99. The exact same brand, the exact same level of service, which, except for ours, our people that work for us, they actually build it and deliver it to your house, where Wayfair would use like a third party. So it's really kind of comes to education. Like, you know, I love it when a customer says, "Can I get a discount?" and I say, "We're $150 less than Amazon." It virtually sells itself at that point, because I'm like going, "Hey, we're less than Amazon." You know, I mean, what else can we do as a small business but be less money than Amazon for that same exact product?
That is so true. And you know, Dave, we always want to support local as well. So Dave Dilley with us here, operations manager and co-owner for Bright Ideas Furniture, located on Woodward, right there in the downtown Royal.
We're on Main Street.
On Main Street. It's just down from Ye Old Saloon.
We are right about a couple of doors away.
Well, we so appreciate your time today. Please support local, especially now throughout the pandemic. That's going to wrap it up for the Monday edition of the Megacast. We'll be back here again tomorrow morning, bright and early at 10 a.m. This is the Megacast.